I mean, fired up, and I wanted to get right into it here with the Dodgers because since July 4th, which I was actually in Dodger Stadium last July 4th, they always do it big. Since this July 4th, 9-game lead in the division evaporates. Now we're talking about a 12-21 record. Offense is dropping. Pitching continues to go through it. And the defense, which we'll talk about here in a second, really collapsing on them. Big picture, what are you seeing with the Los Angeles Dodgers?
To me, it's hard to sustain the pace that they had early on, right? So, like, these things are broken up into different phases, right? You either want to start good, right? Everybody wants to get off to a good start just to give you good momentum. I think every team would prefer to have a good start. They did. They had a really good start, sprinted to the beginning of their division, have been in control of their division for how long? Until just now lately, where they're in a wild card spot. So we're talking about them sliding and struggling. They're still squarely in a wild card position. Not the greatest thing you want to see if you're the Dodgers, to have this recent run of 25 plus games where it's not going your way necessarily. But there's still a long time left. Like, they're still in a driver's seat position with some assets coming back. I think you mentioned Tanner Scott, Michael Kopech, Kirby coming back. So, like, there's not Kirby, Yates. So there's some the cavalry to a certain extent with their bullpen that it's gassed. It's a gassed bullpen based on so many starter injuries as well as bullpen injuries. So it's been the fact that they've sustained this pace for almost 2/3 of the season now is impressive and a credit to them given the injuries that they've racked up, especially to their starting pitching. So you have less innings out of your starters. You're going to tax your bullpen more, and they've just had to do that on the front end of the season. This second half of the season is going to be where we'll see if they get some injured players back. I think they're going to make a push. But I think if you go back to last year, I remember talking to some players in that clubhouse even where their concerns were they were running out of pitching at this point last year as well, and they would go on to win the World Series. So it really depends. Like, I've seen teams rush, like, bulldoze into the end and get momentum right into the end and push that momentum all the way through. But there's also teams that catch momentum and fire late, show up to the postseason and fall flat. The Dodgers last year were the opposite. They were kind of sputtering into the postseason and they'd go on their run. And I'm never going to count them out in this dynamic. So while they're interesting to talk about right now because they're struggling. They've really lost command of that first place in the NL West. I think they're still in a position to make a run, and they've had some underperformances from some of their players. So I don't buy that Mookie Betts is what he's been to this point. I think if Mookie Betts comes in and has a strong postseason, I think he went deep last night against the Padres. Comes in and has a good postseason, all of a sudden you're a little more wind in your sails. It makes sense that the Dodgers are sputtering here with how many injuries they had on the front end.
But if you just take a step back, I know we've talked about, you said, put the money aside. This team has some of the best processes and just overall organization in baseball. Then you add $391 million payroll. It seems that they're not getting what they're paying for out of their starting pitchers just as a general rule, right? Obviously, most teams would want to have these arms in the fold, right? We can talk about some of these guys. But when you think about, they don't pitch when they're healthy that long relative to other team starters. Whether it's, name any of these guys, they don't pitch that long into games. They are injured quite frequently, and there's been some underperformance at times. So, it's like, yes, there's a lot of elite arms that could dominate a postseason game, but I'm not sure if you just put buck for what they get out of these guys, they're getting the most out of their starting pitching, even separate from some of the injuries.
Yeah, I think that it all depends on how you feel about usage, right? Like, if you think that pitchers should go 6 to 7 innings, if that's philosophically where you land, then how frequently can you do that? It's a sliding scale because yes, you want pitchers to go deeper into the games, but you also want pitchers to make 30 plus starts. So it's like, do you want 30 plus 5.5 inning starts, 4.5 inning starts, or do you want 12 7-inning starts? It's a sliding scale depending on how the rest of your pitching staff is compiled and how you can bridge games late, right? So how you can bridge the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th. And so the Dodgers have leaned on the side of shorter leashes, let's say, on the starting pitcher front because they've had this extended, stretched bullpen where they could still We just need 4 and change out of you. We need 5 and change, 5 and 2/3 out of you, and we'll match up in the spot that makes the most sense to get you out of there, instead of trying to get 7 out of you because we have the depth. The problem with that is when you get injured.